Welcome, everyone. My name is Jeff Olson, and we're here today with the Agency Project, which is focused on helping people thrive more, helping people have more time freedom, and help people earn more income in the gig economy. I'm here today with a good friend of mine, Joe Stradinger. He is CEO of Edge Theory. I got to know Joe about 2-3 years ago at an entrepreneurial conference. And Edge Theory, I'll let Joe tell you what Edge Theory does, but functionally, they have some technology that allows us as independent agents out in the marketplace of ideas to use social media platforms around content, to tell better stories, to become a thought leader in our space across all the different platforms. Today, it's sometimes they say it's tough to teach an old dog new tricks, or a new dog, the old guy's tricks, or whatever, however that saying goes. But we're talking about LinkedIn today. Over the last several years, Instagram has blown up, and Twitter had its run, Facebook, and so now LinkedIn is this old kind of sleeping giant that's come back into play. And Joe's been spending a lot of time at Microsoft, interacting with the leadership there. I don't know if you know this, but Microsoft owns LinkedIn. They've got big plans for it to become really a tool for business leaders, business owners, and anyone that's in the job sort of world, whether you're working for someone or you work for yourself or you're trying to lead a tribe. So with that, today's topic is LinkedIn and how to use it and how to make it work for you and tell better stories and be a thought leader in your space. So thanks for joining us today here, Joe.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, as Jeff said, our company, real quickly, Edge Theory, we fundamentally believe that conversation matters. It obviously wins business. It always has. And the challenge today, as we all know, is it's a noisy world, and it's very, very hard to be noticed, and it's very, very hard to be discovered. And we believe that 99% of the battle, whether you're an independent gig economy business all the way up to big brands, 99% of the battle is just getting discovered, just getting noticed. That's most of the battle. It's not so much your pitch. You got to have a good pitch. You got to know how to ask for the sell. All those things we all know. But really, truly, the big battle out there is how do I get in the conversation? And so that's what we do. We help big businesses, and we create content. And we create what we call connected content that actually will get you noticed by people who aren't looking for you. As my good friend and business partner, Jim Barksdale, who built Netscape, always says, there's more people not looking for you than looking for you. And I think if we humble ourselves to that fact that more people aren't looking for us than looking for us, then we got to say, okay, well, if that's the case, how do I go connect with people who aren't looking for us? And so where a lot of marketers focus on the pitch, you got to have it. We believe, though, that, how do we go get discovered and how do we get noticed? And so we help all types of folks. We have thousands and thousands of independent gig economy, the hustle economy, the gig economy, old people like us, the residual income economy, whatever we call it. We have lots of professionals that use our content, but and that content's deployed across every platform from Facebook to Twitter to LinkedIn, Instagram, et cetera, as Jeff said. But today, Jeff and I have been talking about LinkedIn, which I'm just fascinated with the change of events with LinkedIn. If you've used it in the last year, as Jeff said, LinkedIn was acquired by Microsoft, a fairly big company. I think they're number 2 in line to be $1 trillion company, but a big company that has 1 billion customers. And when a company that big buys something like LinkedIn, they're very serious about it. And Microsoft, of course, has roughly, I think, 1 billion customers across Microsoft Office. We all use their products. But what they're really doing with LinkedIn is just fascinating to me. I've always been a LinkedIn user since, I guess, the beginning. And I've always used it, not often. I mean, up to about a year ago, I was not there every day. I will tell you, it's the place that I go to every single day more than any other platform. Of course, I'm on all the platforms every day, but LinkedIn really has transitioned from more of a people graph where we go look people up. We go look at their resumes, we look at who they are, and we go to it once every 2 weeks. Some people once every 2 months. Some people once every 6 months. But I can tell you now, talking, and I've been visiting with LinkedIn both in San Francisco, which again, and also Microsoft in Seattle, their parent. It really is becoming a business social network. And so I think a lot of things that we've learned and seen through Facebook being a friend kind of social graph, Twitter being a conversational graph, Instagram being a likes graph, what do I like, what am I doing, what do I want to say, those are all the different kind of graphs in these social networks. I think LinkedIn, honestly, for the business person, is really bringing that all together. And all of them are super important, but LinkedIn really has, they have 562 million users in 200 countries. It's growing, just really, really fast. And so for any of you who have been on it, the people I talk to, of late, just sort of people are saying, gosh, I'm sort of seeing it more than I've ever seen it before. And that's just, again, how Microsoft is going to be tying this into a lot of their products, from their Dynamics, which is like their Salesforce. And so anyway, I think, Jeff and I just wanted to have, we want to have a conversation about the different aspects of it. But I really would encourage you to get out there. And I feel, I was an early adopter in Facebook. I was an early adopter, really early adopter in Twitter. And I feel like today we're at a rebirth of LinkedIn. And, for the gig economy, whether it's to look for customers or more importantly, I think it's just a heck of a place to go grow your thought leadership. We talk about the agency a lot with Jeff, just if you're in the healthy living business, there is no better way to grow your thought leadership. And a great way to do that is on LinkedIn. There's everything from healthy living professionals and everybody's out there now. So I think, think of thought leadership. It's an excellent way to, I think, grow your team, recruit, and I think even a place that you can find customers as well, but definitely much more of a team building, recruiting kind of platform. Much more,
Joe,
if you will.
Great. Say that again about, I like how you distinguish between Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You said, so
Facebook is they're all
a friend social, biz social, image social. What was?
So they're all social networks are graphs. They're graphs of people, right? They're people graphs, and they're people databases, if you will. And so when you look at Facebook, right, still, even with all the criticism, is still extremely powerful. It is a social graph. More, what am I doing? Okay. And then when we look at things like early on Twitter is more of a conversation graph. What am I thinking? Okay. So what am I doing? Facebook. What am I thinking? Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and all those are more, what do I like? Right. So when you think about your business strategy in the ever growing gig economy, it is, you got to be everywhere. You got to go tell people what you like. You got to connect with people around what you like. You got to connect with people around what you talk about, conversation, and then Twitter. And then of course, Facebook is more social and more, what am I doing? They're all abused in different ways, but fundamentally you have a conversation graph, Twitter, a social graph, Facebook, and likes graph. What do I like when you look at Instagram? I think that, I don't know all this, everything behind the scenes, if you will, but I do think that LinkedIn is a little bit of all of that. Honestly, it has a lot of Facebook similarities, but then, in the sense that you have connections and you have people that connect with you. But what people don't realize about LinkedIn that you and I've been talking about is it's not just anymore about people that are connected with you. When you post on LinkedIn, you can post publicly, which I encourage you to, and people see it who aren't connected with you, right? And people.
Let me stop right there and just kind of camp on that point for a moment. Yeah. As I understand Facebook, Joe, and the algorithms, they've kind of taken your posts down into like your little friend bubble, and those are really the only people that see your posts are kind of your small circle of friends, and it doesn't go out to the broader universe. And if I'm understanding you correctly, which is powerful, at least in terms of independent entrepreneurs or as I heard recently, intrapreneurs, people that are maybe working inside a company trying to be a thought leader. But for those of us, that are entrepreneurs out, to broadcast ideas and content and have it go outside our little friend bubble. That when I heard you say that about LinkedIn, I thought, wow, that's a whole something I'm not doing. And I just want to confirm that that's in fact true.
Yeah. So Facebook clearly is your friends. Now it's different for business pages, but for your friend pages, you can post, privately, and you can post to your friends, and you can also post publicly. But most people on Facebook post to their friends, and only your bubble of friends will see that unless you post publicly.
But even with the public post, Joe, as I understand it, it's still kind of only going around out to those that have maybe recently commented to. It doesn't really get.
Exactly.
The reach is much broader on LinkedIn to the broader public.
Yeah. And so on LinkedIn, you typically a post by default is public, and that's much more like Twitter. So it has the Facebook kind of connectivity, kind of network effect, but then it has the openness and the public openness as of Twitter, right? Because when you tweet, it has nothing to do with who follows you, right? The whole world can see it when you tweet. And so it's a good combination of both. And then now, if you've noticed on LinkedIn, when you go post something, you do a hashtag healthy living or healthy children, or in my case, cybersecurity, whatever, you can be seen or viewed, which is a big metric. You can be viewed by people who are connected with you that see it in their feed. You can be viewed by people who follow you, right? Who are not connected to you. And of course, then you can be seen by people who do not follow you, who are not connected to you, but they're searching for that hashtag healthy living. And LinkedIn will show them all the posts that have hashtag LinkedIn healthy living, right? So there's 3 ways you can be found. And that's what it's all about. It's about, how do I get discovered? How do I get found by people who aren't my customers, right? That's how we grow, or who aren't on my team, right? Who, these great, if I'm going to grow my team with millennials, I want to go connect with people, that aren't looking for me, right? And so I think, but that's a big, so I find on LinkedIn, I do a couple things every day,
Hey, Joe, what makes some sense is if you want to do your screen share.
Oh, sure.
And take us into LinkedIn, and as you and I were talking here this last week or a couple of weeks, how you yourself have become a student of the platform, and a day in the life of Joe, and how you're reaching out, connecting, viewing, posting, and just kind of walk us through kind of a few highlights with your screen share. That'd be bring it to life.
Sure.
Really good.
All right, can you see my screen, Jeff?
I can now. Yep, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. So at the end of the day, y'all probably, if you don't, go get a LinkedIn page. But fundamentally, like Facebook, you can get a lot of the same feel. There's and Twitter, there's a feed, right? Fundamentally, there's a home feed, and that feed is going to be a feed that LinkedIn is providing different posts in there of people that either follow you, that either you follow or you're connected with, and it's just very similar to a feed. But when you go to your home page, up here, I every day post content. So the main thing that I do, because if you don't post content and you don't get enough content, you're not going to ever be found. So my first thing I do is say, gosh, what is content that I need to put out there? And so that's, that is the core default. I wake up every day, before I get to the office, I've posted 2 or 3 things on of course, all the platforms, but let's just talk LinkedIn. And for me, like I always tell folks, I never talk about me. I mean, occasionally I'll put something about my company, Edge Theory, but rarely ever do I talk about Edge Theory. I wake up and say, okay, I at Edge Theory want to go get new customers, and I want to also share with my existing customers, which are on LinkedIn. So I think of things, what are some interesting things that I could put out there so that I get noticed? And so for Edge Theory, I'm selling to any business really across every vertical, but I'm going out there and finding interesting articles. I use my own soundboard to do that, to go find interesting articles that are very relative to anybody that would be my customer, right? I don't say, hey, Edge Theory can help you create content. That would be the last thing I would do. And so, the Internet of Things, it's a very hot topic. We've all heard of it, IoT. I posted an article out there today, mentioned my brother who's in it, as well as a friend who's in it, put a couple hashtags, Internet of Things, digital transformation, et cetera, and I put that article out there, and I've gotten, 78 people have read that article, have viewed that article. And that's significant, right? That's 78 more eyeballs that were not thinking about Joe Stradinger when they woke up today, right? And so my goal is not to go talk about myself or my products, but to talk about the things that actually my pre-customer is interested in to get the attention. And then, of course, I want them to say, oh, what's Joe doing? And look at my profile and then ask me what I do. And as I'm learning, guys, when I put content out there, every day I get people reach out to connect with me. If I don't post content, no one reaches out to connect with me. But if I post content, without fail, people will reach out and I'll get new contacts. I'll get people that, maybe I'd reached out to, a month ago. If I start putting content out there, they're going to connect with me. So it's very correlated. But then, so I do articles on trends like Internet of Things. Here's an interesting article I found on my soundboard about wealth management. I mean, who doesn't talk about wealth management? That covers almost anybody that could be my customer, right? Anybody. And this is a very clever article today from wealthmanagement.com about, clients may be surprised to find out that they have more in common financially with professional athletes. Very catchy, okay? 80 people read it, right? It got lots of attention. And then I'll put, articles out there about just everything that interests me. And so I do that, here's one from Mayo Clinic about, we all need this, right? How can I cope with all the huge amount of information coming at me every day? Hashtag mindfulness, big hashtag, big conversation. So when I go put this article out there and I include a hashtag mindfulness, this piece of content won't just be viewed by the people who are connected with Joe Stradinger or who follow Joe Stradinger. People that are searching on mindfulness will see me in that feed. That's so super important. So I want to be in the mindfulness conversation and so forth. So that's one thing, content. You got to have it. You got to put lots out there. And then I quickly every day go look at who's viewing my post. I look at, did that post really work? It's surprising, and sometimes, Jeff, I'll go through and sometimes I'll post things to make it also, my persona is who I am. So here's a TEDx talk, it got 219 people, viewed it, right? So I talked about, and I put out there my TED talk. So that was a little more about me, right? And then many times, but here's a great article about children and mobile games. I mean, who isn't that an issue for that's a parent, right? And so I'm connecting with people through these interesting pieces of content. And then sometimes I'm just scrolling down here. I was in Colorado recently up in your part of the world. And I'll put articles about, where I am, sort of like Facebook. So, I'll put an article about, beautiful fly fishing, right? Already missing hashtag fly fishing, hashtag family business. I get 600 views. It works, right? So I do put things about what I'm doing like Facebook, but I put those intermittently. I put articles out here about fashion. I mean, who doesn't, want to read an article about fashion? And I love that. And this really cool article, Jeff, where we're both there, dressing your age, how to find your style after 50, right? One big tip, healthy living and stay in shape. And I connected it with healthy living and so forth. So content is paramount. That's the one thing I do without fail every morning. And I cannot tell you how much business I have gotten because people have said to me in airports, I'll see a friend of the day, this bank. He said, Joe, gosh, I've been seeing some interesting, posts on LinkedIn. You know what? My bank sure could use Edge Theory. Could you come see us? I get a $5,000 a month client. Not bad, right? Because I posted content, right? So those are the kinds of things I encourage people post content. I also, Jeff, every day look at who's looking at me, right? And I go view who's looking at my profile. So I want to do that every day. And because that person, I mean, there might be somebody from California looking at me and I can go quickly figure out who is that guy, And so I do that every day. And then the third thing I do, if you think about content, who's looking at me, and then third, I go to my network, okay? And I can go search, and I actively go out there every day and search for different types of people to connect with. And I can go, you were doing this yesterday. If I go look at a search, I can search for people. I can type in, I'm going to go to Denver, for example, okay? I'm on a trip to go to Denver. I'm going to type in Denver. I'm going to type in everybody who's my first connection. I got to go say this, sorry. Yeah, Denver. Everybody who's my first connection and my second connection. and I want everybody that works at, I'll leave that blank, but here's everybody I know in Denver. Or I can say, you know what, they're not my connection, okay? But I want everybody in Denver. What's a big company in Denver, Jeff?
Big company in decors or
what's the big a telecom company?
Yeah, there's Global Cross or Level 3. There's
CenturyLink. Yeah.
CenturyLink. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So okay. You know what? There's some people. I'm going to go connect with people. There's Valerie Dodd. We have one shared connection. I'm probably going to connect with her because I do a lot with telecom, and she'll see that I'm already connected with someone. So boom, connected, done, right? And she'll probably accept my connection. Here's Josh Helm, someone at CenturyLink. We have 4 shared connection. He's not a connection. Boom, done, right? And I'll do that. Nice. I probably get guys, and here's Ronnie Bailey, Chief of Staff. Chief Product Officer at CenturyLink, a $1 billion company. I definitely want to be connected with him. You get the idea. I do that, but in your business, it could be healthy living, healthy professionals, but I do that every day religiously. And I probably connect with over 50 new people every single day.
Wow. Well, maybe just a brief distinction between views in LinkedIn and likes in Facebook and the difference.
Well, I think with LinkedIn, it's much more about views, which you don't really get. It's are people viewing this in their feed? I think, all these platforms use words very loosely: impressions, views, likes. Likes are overrated. One of my posts that I posted when I was at the, Microsoft in Seattle a couple weeks ago, I got 10,000 views and I got a bunch of likes, but I was at Microsoft. But typically, I don't look at likes. I get more people, and I think this is the same thing on Facebook. And I think again, people get caught up with engagement, I think, too much. It is a proven fact that when you post on Facebook, it's a proven fact, it's published. At least one third, or more, a little bit more, of your friends on Facebook are going to read what you post. They are not going to all like it. They're not going to all share it. And I think people get really depressed when people don't like their stuff. But you got to really remember, 1/3 of your people are reading it. Does that make sense? And the same is true with LinkedIn. And I think there's
if you look at your post right there, you got 79 views.
Yep.
And 3 likes. So there's the delta just right there. I know.
Yeah.
What maybe here's a thought. Maybe unshare your screen for a minute and then share or go over to the Soundboard platform and just walk through how you would search for a topic, find a topic, and then just post with the Soundboard platform to the different social media platforms. Because LinkedIn to me is kind of my new needs improvement area. I'm going to really work on LinkedIn here for the next several months. And my goal, anyone's goal, I think, is to get to this place where you can find things to share, be relevant, write your own stuff. But then if you find something good like you do, you use this platform yourself to post out to these all platforms. So it's just walk someone through how to use Soundboard and find a good idea and throw it up there.
I'll go to the Healthy Living Soundboard. How about that versus my Soundboard?
That'd be great. That's what most people are familiar with that are with us. But
here we go. Okay, I got to share my screen back again. And I don't know if you noticed. I'm on the desktop view here. Okay, let me go back and share it. Okay. All right, so we're back. See my screen now, Jeff?
I do. Yep.
Yeah. So this is the Healthy Living Soundboard. It has, umpteen hundreds of thousands of articles. I can go in there, and so, I'm gonna today. I have a client. Say I have a client that really that lives in Dallas. I'm gonna type in Dallas, hit search. I want to put some Dallas content. I'm going to Dallas for the day. All these articles talk about Dallas and children, right? So I'm going to go grab an article. More than half the U.S. children could be obese by age 35. Probably an article that's going to catch some people's attention, right? And so I can search literally anything up here. I'm going to hit that article. I'm going to look at it, right? I'm going to read through it. I'm going to go to the bottom. I'm going to grab something to say, right? Here's a really interesting. trends show. Let's see. Let's go back here. Majority of children growing up in America today will be obese by age 35. Here's one. Let's see. Let's face it. I mean, you get the idea, right? So I grab this article. I simply click copy, LinkedIn, done. I put it on LinkedIn, and then it's there on LinkedIn. I'll show you in 1 second. I usually do this for my mobile. I'm showing you desktop view, right? And I might do a hashtag. If there's not one on here, children, probably hashtag healthy living. And I hit share, and we'll go back to LinkedIn. And it takes a little second. LinkedIn is not as fast as, and it will show up.
But back in the platform, you could send it to Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and all at once.
Right. So here's on LinkedIn. It took me 2 seconds. I guarantee you this with children's faces will be viewed by 100 people by tomorrow morning, at least. Right. And so, but yeah, back to the platform, the idea is to go, and this is a huge soundboard, healthy living, but you can literally type in cancer. Okay. Say that, you want an interesting article on cancer. Boom. You got everything, incredible articles in cancer. You want an article from Mayo Clinic. You type in Mayo Clinic, right? Or you want an article on, gluten. You get the idea, right? There's just anything you want. I mean, here's a great one. I was on the phone with good old Stephen Ritz of the day. Urban gardening. I mean, that's a huge topic. That topic will give you views all day long. And so you grab a cool article, about this infographic proves, well, let's see, can winter veggies garden, crowdfunding aims to fight food injustice. Pretty cool. That's a great article. I grab it, I read it. I go to the bottom. I put it on Facebook. I put it, you can put it anywhere you want. Facebook, LinkedIn, you can text it, all that good stuff. It's just content. It's content.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know that you can text these now with your platform. You had also said something about hashtags, and you guys are now finding out the most used hashtags. And
when you go to the suggested text, we algorithmically give you the right hashtag so that again, the goal is, I mean, I say this a lot with the older crowd like myself. Think of this as the everyday Hallmark card of social media content, right? You wake up, you give your coffee in the morning, you figure out what you want to say. You think about, who are my prospects today that I want to impress? Who are the prospects that I want them to share some thought leadership with? Who are my customers? And just go grab content. If you have, CrossFit customers, I don't know if that's one word or not. It's one word, sorry. You have CrossFit customers, look up a CrossFit article, send it to them. You have, single mom customers, look up an article on single moms, send them an article, right? You get the idea. You have people that have.
Well, I think the way for me is a couple things. Is social proof is the world we live in today. When I meet someone for the first time, they interest me. One of the first things I do is I go check their LinkedIn. I meet a lot of people with our younger generation on the Instagram, but I can't quite get a sense of who they are on Instagram, so I'll go over their Facebook. And so I go kind of cross platforms to get social proof of these people that I'm trying to meet. And I think, one, I've got to up my profile and activity on LinkedIn, but I get to this place where I get a little overwhelmed. I'm like, how do I manage this, and this? And, that's, Soundboard is a nice way to, one, find content that's fresh and timely and today, and then be able to sort of blanket across my platforms. I'm interested in doing my own content as well, which, but there are days I go weeks where I don't have my own content in my brain. And this is a nice way.
And one thing, we have a lot of people use this for Instagram with images, and you can just, grab images right away. But I think, you're again, we've said this, we've had everybody is in that same bucket. I mean, we work with some of the biggest brands in the world, and they can't create enough content. It's almost impossible.
Pull up the images real quick. I think that's a nice visual, because I didn't know that functionality till a while ago. Is Click on
Yeah,
images.
these are all just, laugh for your health, you're beautiful, drink tea, enjoy your food, great, great articles. I mean, great, images.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
They're just simple images. So, I mean, it's really, people, it's articles, videos, and those kinds of things. But again, it all goes back to content. And I think we got to step back and say, listen, we all have to humble ourselves. No one's looking for edge theory today. No one is waking up and saying, I want to go find, because number one, we're not really can't be compared to people. So certainly no one's looking for me, but no one's looking for, anybody anymore. And it's just too noisy. It's just too noisy of a world.
Well, as I said, no one's looking for plant powders. I mean, you're bringing something disruptive and new to the market. We're bringing something new and disruptive to the market. And so getting above the noise or just becoming noticed, as you say, is sometimes half the challenge.
Yeah, well, I'd say it's a lot more than half the challenge. I mean, I really would. And I think, again, we're not, you have to have a pitch. But I think so many people spend so much of their money and effort and time on the pitch. Clearly, you have to ask for the sale. Clearly, you have to have a pitch. But if you don't have anybody getting to the funnel is useless.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges of anyone is finding people to actually get in the funnel. So, and one of the ways to get more people into the funnel is by being a communicator and better storytelling and providing value just beyond your goods and services out across these social platforms. So you get clicked on you.
Yeah. You're not talking about this. I mean, a very smart man told me once, we're all selling something. All of us. Yeah. And we're selling, our faith, a widget.
For the moms out there who don't consider themselves salespeople, you're selling something too. You are trying to get your kid, your child, your daughter, your son to move from here to there being higher ground. And as I say, all sales is professional problem solving. And you're trying to help your children game up. Pastors are trying to help their parishioners game up. I mean, we're all trying to help people move to higher ground. And you are correct that we're all sort of in sales in some certain sense.
Right. And if everybody believes that fact, then the biggest way to sell is to influence someone to make a decision they otherwise would not have made. And the way you influence someone to make a decision they otherwise would not have made is you actually have a conversation. And that can be both started online or offline. Once you have, but the fuel, right, is content. And so the fuel is what we all are lacking. And I always say with Soundboard, Jeff, it is not just about social media. Soundboard gives you something to say when you go to the soccer field. Soundboard gives you something to say when you go to church. Soundboard gives you something to say, when you're on the telephone. It is not about social media. It's about content, and it's about conversation. And I think people, and again, it's way up here above the funnel, and I have these conversations all the time. People literally, sometimes marketers will completely ignore and not want to do content stuff because it's not measurable, even though it's what drives the funnel. Right.
Well, yeah, it's back to that social proof. If I can see that you're contributing, above the funnel to sort of just the conversation on high, then there's some social proof there that you're trying to add value just beyond, whatever it is you're offering. And here's maybe a good, Seth Godin does a good job of describing this. He talks about politicians as sort of the low man on the totem pole, and then he talks about diplomats as being a little higher up the food chain, but then he talks about statesmen and stateswomen, and being a statesman or a stateswoman, that person comes at a higher level. And I think that's really what content is all about, is sharing things that mean something to you with the world and becoming a statesman in your space.
Yeah. And I think, one thing I was just thinking about, this is a good little trick that's really powerful. Again, trying to think of how Facebook and Twitter have taught LinkedIn, and it's coming now and doing a lot of what they did. When you go post an article, again, let's go do one on LinkedIn, and I go post, let's see, let's type in something like, oops, I can spell. Okay, let's go grab a cool article about fitness, okay? Hate unhealthy ways to start your morning. Pretty clever, right? I'm going to grab that article. When I grab this article and I go to the bottom and I grab, here's a really cool quote that goes with it. And again, remember, Soundboard is algorithmically giving you what is really good and known to be also liked by Google, right? So we're giving you smart things to say, I'm going to grab that. Okay. I'm going to go put this back on LinkedIn, but watch what happens. When I go to LinkedIn, this is a really cool trick. People don't realize I can post this. And again, I'm using my mobile view, but look down here. I can post this to groups, or I can send it like instant messenger, right? So if I post to groups, it knows all the groups that I'm in, right? And I can go post that same article and I would encourage people, if you're in healthy living type profession and you're selling a healthy living product, which you guys are, I'd highly go join groups, just like you do in Facebook, just like you do even on Twitter lists. Does that make sense? I mean, it's almost the same playbook. But I think with your world and the world, which is so huge, we don't know how big it is, the gig economy, it's all, no one can actually tell how big it is because we have people that have full-time jobs who also have an Airbnb rental, right? It's almost impossible to say how big this economy is.
Yep.
But it clearly is what drives
right.
the bit. So I think, how you use this to go get good content is just critical for anybody, that wants to grow. And I think today I'd encourage, Jeff, this we talked about this. I really believe is the time to get more active on LinkedIn. It's not to take away from what you need to put on. It's just another place you need to put content. It doesn't dilute the importance of Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and everything. But I believe, I know in my own use case that I'm getting more traction because I'm doing something more than other people. And it's almost like a rebirth of LinkedIn. And organic content is powerful. And so a lot of people are now promoting content on LinkedIn like they promote content on Facebook, but it's going to be you, the individual, not a business page. You, Jeff, Joe, Tina, Bob, it's those pages. And I think those people that get out there, early, like now, the next several months, are going to have an opportunity to be so far ahead of the game. But I think if you wait, it's going to be like you're joining Facebook today. And so I'd highly encourage, you have to talk about your team. I tell every one of my corporate enterprise customers and all of our customers, get out there now. You can be so far ahead of the game as a small guy or gal compared to these companies that are going to just be late adopters. So be an early adopter in the new birth of LinkedIn, It's huge.
Yeah. Well, let's end on that note. I think you've given me a sense of urgency around LinkedIn, and it's going to grow over the next 5 years like Instagram did, or next 3 years. And, you want to catch that wave. It's always nice to be in front and capitalize on kind of that initial burst. And, they're all going to be, conversations, platforms and social platforms and graph platforms, as you say. Maybe just close with sharing it with everyone. Your son's got a great story of the summer and Cutco and what he learned, and even show his post. It's a great story. It's a great way to end.
By the way, the screen says I'm James Ketchum. I'm not as I don't know if I just noticed I was.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so
Joe.
So of the JP Nation, I'm a huge believer in that. 28 years ago, I sold NSA water filters, but I didn't start until I was 20, right? And I sold those and loved it. And I was in Houston, Texas. It was just an incredible experience. And when I first met Jay, I talked about, I saw that little NSA thing on his desk. So I've always loved direct marketing. And then my son came home on June 1st, who is a classical philosophies, English history kind of guy. And
he's 16. He's 16.
16. He came home and told his mother and I came in the bedroom and said, I'm a Cutco salesman. and we said, okay. And we have Cutco knives. I love Cutco knives. I've had them for 20 years. They're honestly some of the best knives I've ever seen. And he just got serious. You're talking about that young hustle economy. As you always say, everybody has a hustle, Jeff. And in the first less than 4 weeks of June, he sold $25,000 of knives. and he made $6,000 as a 16-year-old. So I sent him over to get a Roth IRA, I was like, son, if you max out your wealth, right,
That's
you're
right.
16.
That's right.
But anyway, but it was so exciting. And he created a LinkedIn page. I was like, son, you're selling to business owners. You're selling to business people, men and women, leaders. And so anyway, it was so exciting to, of course, see your son, but it was amazing. So now I'm not sure if I'm going to have a lawyer in the family or just a professional salesman.
But at 16, he's got his own LinkedIn page. That's awesome. That's
awesome.
great.
Awesome. So anyway, yeah.
Well, thank you, Joe. This has been great. I know our crew is going to, get some FOMO around getting LinkedIn up and going. And thanks for all you do for us independent agents out here in the gig economy. I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
And one thing, Jeff, and we'll be back in touch, but, you and I talked about just having sort of a more formal kind of 101, LinkedIn training that we can put together, and we'll probably be doing that over the next couple months together.
That'll be great. Look forward to that, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thanks.